Hello, everyone. I'm going to wait a little bit just to see who joins today. I was thinking about continuing the talk on motivation, but today's topic's a little bit more specific to schooling, children in school. Hello, yes, say hello if you're on. I would love to see you. And Mari, que rico, prima. Today's talk is about the motivation of of going to school, motivating our children. Hola, preciosa. Motivating our children, motivating ourselves, and then really, as from the point of view as a parent, as a previous teacher, and as a student myself. So we had a very interesting Friday with Will. Will, again, I don't know if you don't know me, I have two boys that have autism, and my oldest is more severe than my youngest, and they're little balls of love. Everybody loves them. They're super sweet. They're hugged and loved, and it's pretty fantastic. We are truly blessed to have them. But everything that's been going on, they have sensory issues. And for example, the idea of just having a mask on the face is too much, having anything on the face. When Will was a kid, he couldn't have water on his face. So swimming for him was very difficult. But that was a thing he had to learn, so he finally learned it. But any kid that has sensory issues, having a mask on it's going to be hard. And on top of that, they're supposed to sit still. I mean, they move a lot because, they're little kids, so developmentally the teachers know, how to move them from activity to activity, but requiring anybody to sit still for more than 20 minutes is asking a lot. So how do you motivate someone to go to school and have fun at school and, make it enjoyable for themselves? So that's probably the biggest task. And as a teacher, how did I motivate people to learn Spanish in the classroom that really could care less about Spanish or anything that had to do with the Hispanic culture? But they had to take it. So all I could do was just tell them what I tell my students and what I tell my children, in a sense, is as a teacher, I will come halfway. All I can do is give you the material, but then you decide if you want to come all the way halfway to me. All of teachers, all of us, we've always wanted the best for our students. We want all of them to get A's. Why? Because if they don't get an A, how are they going to get to the next level and get good grades? And again, an A is not so much important as it's just a marker to show us that you have mastered the material. So we expect you to go to another level of mastery. The basic level must be mastered first. So if you get, a C in the first semester of Spanish, it's going to be very hard for you to get an A on the second semester. And you're going to have to be very motivated to get to that level. So we'd have to get creative. The teachers, we just have activities where we would switch everything up on them, pair them up with people, get them ready to, talk. So it's almost like a game of, is she going to call on me? I don't know. Am I going to be ready? So those types of classes, when we get them ready that way, they would be prepared for class. So really the ones that were prepared, of course, did the best. The ones that weren't as prepared didn't do as well. So again, motivation. So for Will, back on Friday. So Will, sweet boy, everything's great. And the motivation for school is just not there. And with autism, it's just like, why? Why are we in school? Why are we doing this when I can be home and having snacks and playing video games? He just doesn't get it. So he decided to, because with autism, they can be very impulsive. They can't help themselves. Their brain is developed and wired in a different way. So how do you motivate something that's wired differently that you really don't understand how wired it is? You just kind of get the symptoms of it. You kind of understand what he's outputting, and then you have to get creative to find out how to help him put two and two together. So he was in class. He wanted to So he wanted something very specific that had to do with paper. And if the paper didn't look a specific way, he would rip it up and throw it away. So he was wasting a lot of paper. So the teachers, like I would say here, said, "Bud, you can't waste paper. Use the paper we gave you." And it just did not compute. The tantrums can be very, very strong on kids like this. And let's be honest, we all have these tantrums in our heads, but we have developed an editor, a master editor, that knows how to stop you from, doing something that you will later regret. In a brain like Will's, it doesn't necessarily happen that way. And it takes a lot of practice and repetition to finally, I shouldn't do that. So he was being helped to be calmed down by one of his teachers. And then instead of being the sweet boy he smacked the teacher across the face. Glasses flew. Then decided to grab a chair and throw it as well. Kick a couple of teachers, and they had to restrain a little bit, of course, because he's 10, so he could hurt himself and others. And this is hard because, I'm sure you guys have seen videos of some kids being restrained. Let me tell you, I understand. I'm not saying that, any kind of extra force is necessary, but these kids, they don't cognitively just don't understand or don't want to, and you have to help them to talk them off the ledge. So I am so amazed at how the teachers were able to deal with Will's tantrum, calm him down the best they could. Of course, this was an incident, so it has to be written up through the public school system. And of course, and then I had to show up to help Will calm down. And it was the special needs teachers and the vice principal. And they said, "Could you please come down to talk to Will? He wants to leave the school." Again, autistic brains are just super interesting. And in his mind, he's just going to go, and he's just going to go. And but he understood what's really cool. He understood that he was in trouble. Because when I got there, they're like, "Don't call mom, don't call mom." Which, again, with a kid that's not as verbal as mine, these are great signs. This is a good thing. It sucks, but it's a good thing. So I show up, and I just call in as much grace as possible, and it shows up because as soon as I show up, I calm down. I see him. I have him look at me because he's being dragged by his teacher outside. I said, "Will, stand up," and he stood up, and he looked at me. He was trying to act as is like he didn't understand what was happening. But he knew, and I explained to him, you cannot, I had to tell him because what he wanted to do was leave. So if I came to talk to him and actually picked him up and took him home with me, we would be reinforcing that negative behavior that we saw earlier by him, slapping his teacher across the face. And I couldn't do that. So I had to trust, and the teachers were amazing. The vice principal was amazing. They said, "Of course, we will do what you need us to do." So they were really much in service of us and Will, and they honored my request. And I said, I'd like for him to finish his in-school suspension. He's never had that before. He's 10. Again, this is just things that are put in place because, as a teacher, if I have one disruptive student, how am I going to teach the rest of the group? So luckily, as a parent, I understand that too. So of course, I understand these are the things that have been put in place. So I explained to Will, you need to sit down and you need to be with the vice principal. You need to do your work quietly. Remember that you earn your electronics. That's my one bargaining chip. You earn your electronics by listening to your teachers, doing your work, being kind, and having fun. I always say, have fun at school, have fun. I don't know if it's in there yet, but it's the repetition. I hope it helps. And what was really neat is he actually listened to me after he was trying to go away and doing some, attention-seeking behavior. That's the thing about kids. You got to watch them. They're smarter than we give them credit for. And after he calmed down, I said, you need to go and finish the day and earn your electronics. I'll pick you up when we're done with school. And he did. He finished the day. And he was motivated by the things he loved the most, which is his electronics for him. So this is where I always say to everyone, find your motivation. But why do I tell this story? It's because my motivation as a mother, we give up our kids to be aided in education. The staying at home for me with these guys was very difficult, especially with the special needs. One sentence would take an hour because my Will likes to draw them. And doing anything that he doesn't want to do. And again, I'm also a mom, I'm not the teacher, this is not school, and they're so rigid in their thinking that it became very difficult. And at the same time, I also let go, and surrendered to what I could and could not do, which can be difficult when you look at the other kids that are neurotypically developing. They're talking about paragraphs and writing a complete story on their own. We are writing one sentence, and it's a good thing. But what's my motivation as a mother? My motivation is raising a good, upstanding citizen of the world, and a happy one that communicates happiness everywhere he goes, that he brings joy to himself and others, that he add to the world, regardless of his disability. I know that my children are going to be they already are a contribution to the world. So again, my motivation as mother is to make sure that this happens. But by him getting in trouble with the in-school suspension, this is the other side of the story. You're motivated by something, I'm going to do this. But sometimes you're given a situation where you have to release control of the situation. This is where the innerpeacebroker comes in, what I call myself. This is when I work with clients one-on-one, but it's the idea of finding peace. I wasn't very peaceful knowing that I had to talk to the teachers and to the vice principal, and it's always what are people going to think of me as a parent? What should we do? And how to handle it, because you can only do what you can and let the rest be. So what I noticed that day, the biggest lesson I learned in all of that, receiving that grace at that moment, was to let Will choose for himself. I'm his mom. Doesn't mean that I need to be responsible for all of his choices. All I can do is be his guide. And I'm motivated to be his guide because I'm his mom. I want the best for him. But Will has to choose everything in his life. And I'm just training him to start choosing for himself. Hi, Layla. The best way I can. And I was and for someone who is self-motivated, I'm the oldest of my family. I take care of my mom, my kids. I take a lot of people's choices. So if my kid does something bad, it's my fault. But that day, Will taught me that it's not. He's still his own person. He's not a reflection of who I am. He's my child, and I hope he behaves well when he's out and about. But ultimately, this person is going to choose a life of his own. And so I felt freed, in a sense, where I knew I didn't have to take this on anymore in that way. That again, I can surrender to his choices, continue teaching him, do your best. Thank you, Mari. Have fun. That's my little thing that I always tell them. Do your work. Listen to your teachers. Be kind and have fun. And then they started adding, and don't run in the hallways. Because they've been told don't run in the hallways. But the reason why I'm telling you this and I'm sharing this along with motivation is just to, whenever you feel like this is too hard, I can't go through with it. It's not. It's just give yourself a little bit of time to kind of get to the point where you see what's motivating you. You see your fire beneath you and you're going to go through with it. But then also continue allowing what has to come through things that are out of your control. And it was really funny because that morning my mom got an infection and I had to do that too. So I'm like, oh wow, this is a fabulous day. So I had to let go of my mom's infection. Just, you know, the doctors are there. We're going to get the help we need. And as soon as I let that go, my level of stress lowered significantly because I wasn't holding my breath anymore. I was letting it unfold. So I'm just trying to share that with everyone because I take it for granted that everybody works on themselves or that they know what to do. None of us know what to do. But I definitely, one of my motivations for doing this is because I know that peace is possible. Inner peace is possible. It definitely comes in waves. Sometimes I want to kill somebody too, just like everybody else. But it's a choice. Every moment is a choice. And sometimes I actually choose the tantrum so that I can get out of my system and cry or whatever and then let it go. And my husband's fantastic. He's always like, are you done? I'm like, are you done, diaper baby? I'm like, yes, I know. I'm done. So, and then that way I can, you know, wipe tears. Okay, let's go forward, because that's all you can do, right? Is take action and move on forward. So if there's anything that you're looking for, again, why are you doing anything in life? Look for your motivation. Have fun. Listen to your teachers. And yeah, I'll have some more for you guys next time. I just figured that whole teaching thing and the being in school, especially trying to motivate kids and trying to be creative in motivating them with all the crazy stuff at school and at home, because there is no judgment in my house in terms of whether you decided to homeschool or not or whatever. You do you, baby, because raising children is just not for the faint of heart. So I hope this brings you some kind of peace, some joy, some lesson, something that makes your life better. So I love you all. Thank you so much for watching, all you beautiful people. I wish you all the best. Sending you love, light, and blessings. Bye, guys.